Welcome to The Climb. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. As a matter of fact, that's literally what The Climb means. It's an acronym that stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business. And with that, I would love to introduce you to my co-host and good friend, Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter, I'm proud to say, with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And what I love the most is Brent, he gives, man. He gives to receive. He helps songwriters like you turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent at manvsrow.com, manvsrow.com. And he's recently rebranded to songwritingpro.com. And you can find him in both of those places. He's got 2 storefronts. He's so cool.
And I'd like to...
You money.
There you go. And I'd like to introduce y'all to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. Basically what that means is they help you find your sound and they help you find your audience. Amen, brother. So not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, creating cash flow.
Cash flow.
There we go. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. Why? Because there's only one Johnny Dwinell. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny D.
Hello. Hey guys, man, how you doing today, Brent?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little punchy. Yeah,
I'm a little punchy. Yeah, we've been working. We've been working long days.
I know. So
I just came back from vacation, and I literally 3 16-hour days later, I'm catching up, because I went on vacation.
You went on
I didn't do everything I was supposed to be doing.
Right. You went on vacation. My wife and kids are on vacation, so I've been burning at both ends just to try and make hay while I don't have to change diapers or anything like that.
You got a little freedom time, so you're trying to.
So what do I do? Am I sitting on the couch watching Netflix? No. Right. I'm working.
That's right. You're working, making hay while the sun is shining in this other aspect over here. A different sun you got going on. Well, today we're gonna get deep. We're gonna get deep. We're gonna talk about perspective, and we're gonna talk about what's really going on in the music industry. And you know what? I want to share with everybody my vision of it, and how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. And I had a mentor in my life, who's the president of a corporation that I was blessed to work with for a little while, who explained this to me. And at one point, a while back, my good friend Wade Sutton, mm-hmm. who owns Rocket to the Stars, and partnered up with Rick Barker, my other friend, mm-hmm.
Who
used to be Taylor Swift's manager for the first couple of years. Genius dude.
Pretty good couple years. Pretty good couple first years.
Pretty good couple years, yeah. Right? Yeah, I mean, he was the guy that helped really put all that together from just an on-the-ground, here's what we got to do to make it work thing. They wrote a book called, together, they co-wrote a book called The $150,000 Music Degree, and I'm blessed and honored to say that they asked me to write the foreword for it.
Nice.
So I wrote this foreword, and when I got done with it, I put a lot of thought into it, because this is, Rick Barker and Wade Sutton, I can't.
Not gonna screw this
phone
up.
This one in.
Right? Yeah. Not like you're working with me.
Oh,
these people are good.
Oh, and I get it. No, no, but when I got done with it, I was like, can I make this into a blog article?
Yeah.
And do you guys mind that? Is that okay? Because you can say no. It's I wrote it for you, and they're like, no, do it. I'm great. So I did it, and I wanted to bring it to the podcast because I thought it would make sense. But it speaks to what's happening in the music industry right now, which is the Chinese word for crisis, mm-hmm. and we are in crisis right now in the music industry.
That's true.
Would you agree?
As a songwriter, yeah.
Yeah, and I think every artist that's on a major label would agree. Every major label head would agree. Every indie artist would agree because they're like, if they're not making money, we're not making money. Right. And the hope of making money is out the window. What's going on? But here's some really good information that I think is going to be beneficial to y'all. Mm-hmm. The Chinese word for crisis is made up of 2 characters. One is danger, and the other is opportunity. Danger and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And
boy, which one you see really depends on, glass half full or half empty, isn't it?
Now we're getting into it, right?
Yeah.
Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Like, how you gonna look at it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you want to look at it?
Which character are you?
How smart? Yeah, there's a man that says he can and a man that says he can't. Which man are you? Right?
Because they're both right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you think it's dangerous, it's going to be dangerous. As long as you think there's opportunity, there's going to be opportunity, and that's going to lead you to asking the right questions, which is going to lead you to getting the right answers, which might just lead you to changing the world. This is the way we look. This is the way we think here at Daredevil Production. This is what goes through my head, right? So Baron Rothschild. Like,
if there's a Baron, it feels like there should be a Von after it. I know. And he flies a red biplane.
That's called artistic license. But in the 18th century, there's huge issues in the British economy. And he was quoted as saying, this is a big banking family. They own all our money, by the way. I'm not going to get into that. That's another conversation. But
podcast.
He said there's the time to buy, speaking of the stock market, is when there's blood in the streets. There's blood in the streets right now in the music industry. And maybe you've heard this put another way, like, there's no better time to start a business than in a recession, right? Because people are so desperate for cash flow that they'll give better deals than they would. You can do it less expensively and start a business. So there's your opportunity, right? And the music business is full of danger and opportunity. But I want to put some stuff in perspective, man. The old music business that so many people are wishing we could go back to. Would you agree? Like, they're angry about it. They're bitter.
Yeah. They knew how to operate in the old model. It had its problems, but they knew what they had adjusted to it.
They had their groove, right? Yeah. They had their groove, and everybody kind of wants to go back to that. And we've got too many artists now that are daydreaming about, getting their deal the way you would get your deal and the way you would get your break in the old music business. And so it's upsetting to them when they find out that that's not the way it's going to work anymore. Right. But the reality is, the opportunity is so much better. And I want to lay that out a little bit, I want to spell that out. So the back in the day when I was in a hair band and we were touring, it was expensive to make a record. It was all analog. Just the tape was holy crap, just for the tape. Forget about the cost of the put it on the machines and the engineer to run it and a producer and the studio you've got the machines are housed in and all that. Forget about all that. Just the tape was cost prohibitive, right? Like, you could fit 3 songs on 2-inch tape, 24-track tape, but if you did more than 24 tracks, you're going to need 2 of those. And if you're doing slave reels, and it was expensive. Those are $350 a pop, for a reel. So, you had to do a demo, right? Because it really wasn't cost effective for anybody to be able to record their own record. We didn't have Pro Tools. Right. So you had to go do a demo, and you would do that demo and try to get a lawyer or somebody to shop it for you to showcase your talent to a label. And basically you're asking for someone to give you a hat tip and nod and say, yeah, we're going to spend a couple $1 million on you and give you a shot. Right. And then you enter into, everybody's like, wow, we got our deal. But what most people don't realize is in the heyday of the music industry, big record labels like CBS, which became Sony, right? Atlantic, Warner Brothers, Universal. These record labels, MCA, RCA, they're really biggies, right? They had maybe 400 or 500 artists. Wow. But only 10%. Here's something this is a fact across all labels. Only 10% of the artists made any money. So when you got your deal, when you did everything that you were supposed to do to get that hardest first step happening, you entered into a club where the lottery chances were like 9 to 1 you were going to lose. Right. Yeah. That's encouraging. Yeah. But most people don't know that. Most people aren't aware that they're like, we got our deal. It's all golden now. We're riding a gravy train with biscuit wheels.
Right.
But you're not. You're like, now you've got to figure out how to get into the top 10%. How's that going to happen? And why was it like that? From a business aspect, right? If you're going to set up a lemonade stand and have to sell, 900 lemonades to make the money for 90. Think about that.
Right, yeah.
Right. I mean, why the hell would you do that? That seems like a lot of work, you know? Well, that seems like a bad business model. I mean, there's no normal business, but it was the tyranny of space in the old record industry. There was two tyrannies of space. The first tyranny of space was distribution.
Record shelves. Record store shelves.
Record shelves.
Shelves at Walmart.
Like whether it was a cassette or a record or a CD. Like if you're in a big retail spot, which is brick and mortar, each of those little spaces is worth money. And the smart businessman who owns that space is going to make sure that whatever's sitting in that space is selling as quickly as it can.
And for as much as it can.
And for as much as it can, so he can keep turning it over and turning it over, because there's only so much space in a brick and mortar building, right? Why did Blockbuster fail? Ultimately, at the end, they were really huge, and then they were gone, right? Because Netflix came out and said we don't need brick and mortar,
right?
So so getting into. Because the bottom line is you can hear that song all day long on the radio. You can have the best hit song in heavy rotation. It could be the only song that all radio stations plan to play for the rest of time. But if it's not on a shelf to purchase back in the day before the internet, you didn't sell any records.
And if you didn't sell records, you didn't make money off it.
So you got to have relationships to get that on the shelves to make that work, right? And they got to believe in, well, I've got this Van Halen record here, 1984, that's coming out, and that's going to sell a ton of copies. Why should I limit their space to provide some space for you and take a chance on your new band? Right. So that makes sense. Then the other aspect was radio. Radio was a big log jam. They only play 12 songs an hour on the radio. There's rotational programming. That's the way that we like it. And because humans, if they like it, they want to hear it again. So there's only... at the end of 2,180 spins or 2,186 spins maybe every week, which is, 7 days times 24 hours times 12 spins. So I think that number's right. There's only 3 or 4 time slots available for a brand new artist to try to get in. And even if you get in, what has to happen?
You got to stay in.
But in order for you to get in, in order for you to put your song on the radio, what has to happen?
A lot.
Well, but
probably,
the very simplest thing that something has to happen is this. In order because there's only 12 songs an hour.
Somebody's got to.
Only 2,180 spins.
You got to knock somebody out.
One more song gets added, somebody's got to come off. Right? So somebody's got to come off. And so there are stories, and you and I, Brent, we both know people that back in the day got the deal. Right? Like, congratulations. Like, holy crap, you got somebody to spend money on you. Like, a lot of money. 7 figures on you. And then they got the right producer. And they had the right songs, and they were important artists. And they were willing to work. And they did everything they could do, and they made that first record. And then they got the budget from the record labels actually going to promote it. Like, they got behind it, right? And they were doing the radio tour, and they were out there busting their butts trying to make everything happen. And they did the, town to town to town, and they're touring, and they're doing everything they need to do. Top 100, they break the top 50, and then they lose their record deal. Yeah. And you're like, wait, what happened? Like, we got all this momentum, all this money was spent, we got all this going. What happened? What happened was your record label's a publicly traded company. And the A&R guy needs not selling the numbers he needs to sell by the time this quarterly report comes. He's got to make the stockholders happy. So I had to pull you off the radio and drop you so I could put these people on the radio to make space for these people on the radio because they're a little farther along on their journey than you were. They're going to sell a few more records, and you're going to sell by this time that I need to make sure that I can keep my kids in private school. There you go. So that was then. It's art by 2 committees, right? That's the tyranny of space. Well, now what do we got going on now? We got, you are responsible to create a small profitable business, and you can do it. You don't need permission. If you can, I mean, what did a record cost back in the day? Like a couple $100,000.
Oh, to make,
to do a decent record, right? With all the talent and everything like that. And that was just the recording costs, travel costs, studio, all that stuff, the producer, the engineers, all that. And it didn't even count for points and all that other stuff that came out of it. But now we got Pro Tools, and if you have the skill set, or if you know somebody who knows somebody who has the skill set, that knows how to make a record, then even in a professional sense, you can get a record made for less than 10% of what it used to cost. Yeah. Right. So now all of a sudden it becomes possible for an independent artist to really make it themselves and do it themselves and make the art themselves. And then we got the internet. We got social media. We can go target people and find somebody who like I was just talking with somebody about this one artist that made a record that was just all about divorce, and he was saying how much it spoke to him, right? And it just, because he was going through a divorce, right? I had lunch today with a producer friend of mine that I'm considering for an artist, and he was just telling me, but like he was going through divorce at the time, and this guy wrote this record. It was all about divorce, and it was a brilliant record. And so he's like, I just had to produce him because these songs were speaking to me, right? Yeah. But now think about like this is just an example of how surgical we can get, right? Like if you're going through that right now, #divorce.
Right. Yeah.
Are you not just immediately opened up to expose your music to, maybe 1 million people on that particular day at that particular hour, right? That are feeling and exactly that emotion, right? Radio can't be that targeting. Radio's not targeting.
No, radio's a big megaphone.
I mean,
you want to be a whisper. You can whisper in somebody's ear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And be like, here's what's going on, and I got it, man. I'm putting my arm around you because I'm going through it too, which is what we're trying to do as songwriters and as artists, right? Communicate and find some fellowship and try to make somebody feel something to get them through something, right? Whether it's a party or a travesty, right? Yeah. So how amazing is that? And as an artist, you hold all the power to create your own reality and prove to the world that there is a market for your specific music, and you don't need anybody's permission. In the old days, you needed to do art by 2 sets of committees, corporate committees that honestly care about the bottom line because that's the way they're set up. I'm not saying they're bad for that. Right. But I'm saying that's the way they're set up. Any publicly traded company, it's illegal for them to lose money. You get that? So the record label is going to sign you only if they're pretty sure they think they can do something with you. Right. Because they've got to report to the stockholders. They got a boss. And if they don't do it, they're gone. Right? They're accountable. And the stockholders don't care. Right. They care about, did we make more money this quarter than we made last quarter? Yeah, awesome. Then we love your band. Exactly. Yeah. They're looking at the dividends. They don't care about the, if we didn't, then we don't. So you're not, so that's art by committee number 1, right? But then how's the record label going to promote it back in the old days?
We got radio, maybe MTV.
Radio. Another completely separate corporation, publicly traded. Yeah. And what do they care about? Where do they get their money?
Advertising.
When they spin your record, what happens? They pay money. Right. Yeah. So if they're going to pay money, what are they going to do?
They want to get return on that investment. They want you to stick around and listen to the used car lot commercial. Because for them, the music is an advertising expense to get you to stick around and listen to the
Say that
ads.
One more time.
At radio, your music is their advertising expense.
Boom.
You're the commercial that they're paying to put out there to get people to come in, listen to their station, and then listen to the commercial. When we listen to the radio, the commercial we hear is their music. And when they play your music, you're their commercial.
Think about that. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. So you got to understand, I know your dream is to get on the radio, okay? And there's nothing, at this stage of the game, we talked about the rocket before. That's like the second or third stage rocket to blow you into the stratosphere. If you're on the radio, God bless you, you know, good for you. But it's not what's going to break you, right? But the good news is you don't need to have your hat in your hand, and you don't need to ask anybody's permission for anything. Because I promise you, radio isn't going to put a song on divorce because they know that there's exactly 8,342,152 people that are going through divorce at this second, because I can find that on Twitter.
Right, yeah.
Can find that on Instagram, you know. And so the targeting capacity that we have now is the blessing. Like, we can go find people for a specific song that are going to resonate and really think, like, I can find a club full of people that believe in crickets.
That's right.
We can take a different spin on that. Like, this could be your theme song for your fundraiser for crickets. Save the African dung cricket or whatever, you know, I mean.
Right. Well, I got an example. Okay, so you got a song that is very political. So like a I Hate Donald Trump song. All right, so you got your I Hate Donald Trump song. And you're like, well, radio's never going to play that. And an artist isn't, you know, major label artists don't touch that because they don't want to be all political. They want everyone to like them. But, you know, you release it yourself. How do you find the people when, you know, right now the country's pretty evenly divided?
Yeah.
Well, hashtag DNC, hashtag I'm with her, hashtag Hillary. You know, that's where you find the people that are going to like the I Hate Trump song. And
that's 172 million people universe.
Right. It's a big universe, but it's never going to get played on the radio. And vice versa. If you have your I Hate Hillary song, hashtag Make America Great Again, and you're going to find people that are like, yeah, I hate her too. That's just an example, just an easy example of, you know, passionate people that you can find.
See, this is, and here's this leads me to the last point I'm going to make here before we end this episode, which is that's the core of what I think at Daredevil. Like, give me an artist that's compelling, and we'll find the audience. There's an audience out there for them. And I don't need to have it be like the top 1% of what people are going to like or what they're buying, right? Because it's mass media, because it's a publicly traded corporation that's supported by another publicly traded corporation. Again, not bashing publicly traded corporations. That's awesome. But there's limitations to the way that they do business. They have to be careful. Like you said, they got to be vanilla. They can't like piss too many people off, or they're going to take a brand hit, and they can't afford to do that. And the board's going to fire you. You're going to lose your job if you make a decision like that. But we can do risks. If you're an indie artist, you can go out there and create $1 million empire like Earl Dibbles Jr., a.k.a. Granger Smith, did on Facebook. You know? Well, Johnny, Brent, well, how the heck do you do that? Well, now you've asked the very first right question.
Right.
How do you do that? You know, how do you do that? Start asking those questions and go down that line, and you don't need anybody's permission. And guess what? I mean, Granger did exactly that and just had his first #1, which I don't think you can really do without a record label, you know. But the record label's been trying to sign him for 2 years at least.
But he didn't have to sign.
He didn't have to sign, and he didn't. Not until it was like way into the sunset of Earl Dibbles Jr. And let them write a big old fat stinky check and let them manage the decline of the whole thing. And I'm gonna go get my first #1. Watch this. Hold my beer.
All right,
Give me that dip, right? And he did it. I mean, this is the epitome of what you can do. Like when I see Granger Smith do that, I think, wow, if he can do it, I can do that. With my arms, right? And if two people can do it, it's like the 4-minute mile.
Right.
Nobody could do the 4-minute mile
until somebody did it.
First guy did it. And then all of a sudden, like the next month or it was like the next month or the next year, but some small amount of time, like for centuries. We've had the Olympics for how long, right? For centuries, nobody could break the 4-minute mile. And then when the one guy did, after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, when one guy did it, it was like the next month or the next year, where there was 1 month or 12 months, like a ton of people did it because they just saw somebody else do it.
They knew it could be done.
There it is. There's the opportunity. It's the opportunity. You guys, this is the best time to be in the music industry.
And, you know, looking back at the Chinese symbol for crisis, so it's danger and opportunity. Really, for the majors, it's danger.
Yeah.
It's opportunity, too, but if they're focused on the danger, they're not going to see the opportunity. But for an independent artist, it's really opportunity. Because what is killing the majors and giving them fits because their old business model is
that they can't change.
That they're having a hard time changing over to the new one, right? Because of all that,
yep.
Big things move slowly, is an opportunity for you. Because now you don't have to go through the gatekeepers to get the yes to get on the record label, to get the yes to get on the Walmart shelf, to get the yes to get on the radio, playlist. You can bypass all that, and your vibe attracts your tribe. You find your people. And so your
vibe attracts your tribe.
Right,
I love that. Yes. I'm stealing that. That's good.
Got it from somewhere. So, and you can find your people. So their crisis is your opportunity.
Yeah. And do it and build up the audience and then watch them come to you.
Right.
And you can play the Granger Smith game and be like, hey, thanks for coming out. And no.
Yeah. Or sell me. Why should I sign with you?
Yeah.
Because I'm already doing it.
Why are you going to stick your hands up? Yeah. What are you going to do that I'm already doing for myself?
Yeah, what are you going to do for me?
I'm making $1.8 million a year on my own.
Right. I'm doing all right.
What are you going to do? Yeah. Are you going to promise me that kind of money?
All right.
Oh, you are? Well, sign. Oh, yeah, we can do that and get a number one, too. Now we're talking, right?
Right, exactly.
So there we go, guys. That brings us to the end of another episode here. That is, danger and opportunity, the Chinese symbol for crisis. The music business is in a crisis. They're seeing danger. We've got the opportunity. We just got to look at that glass as half full and make it happen and not stop, right?
That's right. And, Johnny, you have something you're giving away and maybe something you're not giving away? A couple opportunities?
Yes, sir. A couple opportunities here. Number one, just for free, as always, the Twitter book. It demystifies Twitter. It's Twitter 101. It shows you a tour through the app, how to use it, and how to connect, how to target that audience, right? Like if you got a divorce song, how to target those people that are feeling that same way on Twitter. Find them, connect with them, and you can get 1,000 targeted Twitter followers every single month, and it's like 15 minutes a day. I mean, I'm not talking about tons of work here, right? That's just for the targeting part. And you can get that at giftfromjohnny.com, JOHNNY, giftfromjohnny.com. And if you're in a spot where you just need a little bit of help, you need a little boost, maybe some outside encouragement and some good direction on, what your social media is going. If you're starting to get your head around this, but you need a little, an educated bump up the ladder there, up on a rung, then get in touch with me at Daredevil Production. Info at daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. Info at daredevilproduction.com. We do consulting work. We do charge for this. But I will look over all your social media. I will look over your web store if you have one. Most of you don't. Everything that you're doing with your marketing, and exactly tell you, here's where you're screwing up, here's where you're doing good, here's what you need to change, and you're going to start to see some differences so that you can put just a little bit more of a steroid shot in your own kind of DIY efforts.
Cool. Excellent. Sounds good.
There you go, guys. Well, all right. Well, thanks again for listening. Keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.